Hello, and welcome to another Developer Skill Sprint. My name is Brian Alexakis, and I am a Product Marketing Manager here at Embarcadero Technologies. Today we will be taking a look at the methodologies around the RAD approach to building multiple form factors with a real-time preview for each UI. Today's skill sprint applies to RAD Studio XE8, Delphi XE8, C++ Builder XE8, and the App Method 2015 Spring release. All of the functionality discussed in today's skill sprint works for projects built with either C++ or Delphi, and as you can expect from this title, the tools presented to build multiple form factors in real time are supported for Windows OS X, Android, and iOS devices. The multi-device preview window itself functions with FireMonkey HD forms and does not work with VCL forms. Getting your application to have a consistent and functioning UI on all devices and form factors available on the market today is no easy feat. Smartphones and tablets have a ton of different devices, each with their own particular form factors. Consider the Apple and the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. Technically a single product, but is split into two different form factors, where one is much bigger than the other. On top of the many different form factors, your app needs to be able to handle both portrait and landscape mode. Moving past the mobile market, app developers today need to also start considering new forms of displays like 4K monitors. Wearables add yet another form factor into the mix. Even IoT is considered an emerging form factor with all kinds of odd screen displays that don't fit into traditional definitions or even concepts of what a screen is. It's important to also consider that this trend will only accelerate moving forward. More and more form factors will continue to emerge, driven by the nature of technology and how it adapts itself to the needs of human beings. Consider virtual reality, for example. Even though the device display itself is just a smartphone, in the case of the Samsung Gear VR, the way a developer approaches the display is completely unique to the context of virtual reality. What is the RAD approach and how does it apply to building apps for multiple form factors? The approach of rapid application development is a modern and powerful way to focus the development efforts of getting your app running on multiple devices and their form factors. By leveraging the tools provided by Embarcadero Technologies and Fire UI, you can avoid the traditional pitfalls and time sinks of having to maintain multiple code bases and the headaches of tracking changes and consistency throughout those multiple code bases. With the RAD approach, you will spend more development cycles working on what really counts, the features of your application. Fire UI is a collection of technologies that allow you to create a shared user interface across all devices and form factors. Fire UI consists of the multi-device designer, multi-device components, behavior services, and the all-new multi-device preview window. This skill sprint is focusing on the multi-device preview window, and there is already a lot of information covering the other aspects of Fire UI. Earlier this year, David I gave an in-depth RAD in Action presentation where he dived into the details of Fire UI. I would highly recommend watching that video, and if you would like to find links to it, please visit the blog notes. I wanted to spend a brief moment talking about the core concepts of Fire UI, which is the multi-device designer and UI stream inheritance. The multi-device designer enables developers to create the UI of an application. That UI is at the top level defined by a master form, and it contains all of the UI elements for all devices and platforms. The master form uses stream inheritance to manage the differences between a particular device view and the master view. So each child view will only contain the difference of properties like visibility, position, size, and other properties of a particular UI element. One project and one form is used across all devices, which uses a single shared code base for all UI events. Adopting your application UX UI to multiple devices and form factors is not just a mobile problem. With the release of Windows 10 Mobile and Windows 10 Mobile Enterprise, Microsoft intends to also make this a Windows problem. With the release of Windows 10, Microsoft is unifying Windows across devices and platforms, including Xbox and Windows Phone. Microsoft is offering a free upgrade for both desktop and mobile users of previous versions of Windows. Microsoft expects that Windows 10 will be running on over a billion devices within the first 2 to 3 years. So, as a developer for Windows, it is critically important that your applications are ready for Windows 10. You should expect your end users to adopt Windows 10, and likewise, they will expect the application you deliver to be ready too. So now is really the time to get ahead of the curve and deliver some more value to your customers by getting your applications ready for Windows 10. RAD Studio XE8, Delphi XE8, and C++ Builder XE8 have all been tested with Windows 10 Preview, and you can also take advantage of a new Windows 10 VCL style that we have made available today, so that you can take your existing VCL app and start testing it with the new Windows 10 VCL style. If you'd like some more information on how to obtain that style, well, I'm going to quickly demo that at the very end, but if you can find more information at the blog notes. The multi-device preview window displays a preview of several predefined devices ranging from Android, Windows, iOS, and OS X, including their form factors, all at the same time, so you can see how your application UI looks amongst those different devices, all from one window. This window is a real-time view of your design view. So any change that you make in the design view will automatically propagate itself to the multi-device preview window. Currently, the multi-device preview window only works for FireMonkey HD forms, and it also has support for custom views. And if you look closely at the screenshot, you'll see that I've defined such a custom view for the Motorola 360 smartwatch. And so without any further ado, let's jump into the demo. For this demonstration, I'm first going to show how to create a custom view for devices that aren't already preloaded in RAD Studio, for example, Moto 360 wearable smartwatch. Then I will show how to use the multi-device preview window, including that custom view. We may want to change the view to one of the number presets defined here. But if we want to add our own view with our own custom dimensions, we do that through the Device Manager. So we open up the Device Manager through the Tools Options menu and scroll down here to the Device Manager. Then we click Add. From here, we enter our details. For this example, we're going to create a view for the Motorola 360 watch. I have already downloaded a graphic that is used for the form designer that will show up in the background. So let's use this image. So I will give it a name, apply the platform and Android, since this is an Android Wear device, and the type of form factor here is a watch. So we're going to enable orientation and select that background file. I saved it under C:\gfx moto360.png. And after that, we want to define the the region. One kind of quick and dirty way you can do it is just sort of to drag these regions into the viewable space. So that's one way you can define the working area of your form designer. However, I actually have the specific dimensions for the Moto 360, and so I'm going to input those values. And the physical pixel dimension of the actual device is 320 by 290 pixels at 213 pixels per inch. However, the actual usable area is not the full device screen size. And in fact, the usable area is a little bit less at 240 pixels by 218 pixels. There is no status bar on this device, so that's all I need to do here. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And you can see here that the sort of Chrome for the device is in the background here, so I go and hit OK. Now you'll see that it isn't quite ready to go. It isn't listed here. We still have one more step to take before we can actually use this view. So all of the views within RAD Studio are defined within an XML file. You can define this XML file by navigating to %appdata and then go into Embarcadero, BDS, your version number, and look for a file called devicepresets.xml. I'm going to go ahead and open this with Notepad. Scroll down to the bottom. Now you'll see the mobile device listed here. And before you can use it, you actually are going to need to go in and manually set the name to match the same name that we gave it earlier. And we also will need to update the thumbnail entry to point to the physical address on your hard drive, which I showed earlier was for me is in the C:GFX folder. Once you've edited this file, then we can move on to the next step. The next step to making our custom view available for our use is to create a new package that will contain the specifics for that custom view. Within RAD Studio, I'm going to go ahead and hit New Delphi Package. Go ahead and fire that save off. Okay. And let's go ahead and save this package. I have a place for it here already. And now we need to add a new unit to this package. And I already have the code template for this. Let's paste that in. The view name, we want this to be our Moto 360, same as we defined earlier. The first size here is the minimal physical size, which is going to be the same value that we inputted earlier as 240 by 218. And since this is just one size, we're going to go ahead and enter that same value. And earlier I mentioned that the pixel density was 213, and that goes here. And we're not dealing with the Android platform, but we are dealing with we are dealing with the Android platform, but what we are not doing is this is not phone, this is watch. Okay, so we can go ahead and save this off. Now we are ready to install this package. If I just right click on the package and do an installation, you can see that it has been installed. And if I reopen my working project here, I now should be able to select the Moto 360. And there we go. Now that we have our custom view working, let's go ahead and explore the multi-device preview window. You can find it under the View Multi-Device Preview. It's also clickable by this tab icon here. Now I'm going to go ahead and dock this and drag this out, kind of give a side-by-side view. This is a nice thing to do if you have multiple monitors. You can throw this window on the second monitor and operate on your form designer on your other monitor. So we can change our view from the Moto. Let's say we want to go back to Android 10-inch tablet, for example. As you can see, that automatically got added to our preview window. We can also control what shows up by clicking this drop-down menu and checking off the specific views that we want to use. The created views automatically get added here, and that is defined by the views that you have an inherited view defined for. So if we wanted to actually look at what this tablet might look like if it were in landscape mode, we can rotate it here. And as you can see, that the multi-device preview window also updated and is now displaying the rotated view. Let's say we wanted to add like a style uh, into this application. If I go ahead and load a style, I've got a folder here. We can just grab, oh, I just want to random here. Let's get the Metropolis UI blue. And apply and close. Okay, let's hide that. We need to apply that style to the main form. Here, style name. Style book, rather. Great. So, here we have the stream inheritance at work. You might ask yourself, why didn't that style book get applied to the iPhone and the Android view, or the Motorola view for that matter? Well, that's because we're currently looking at the child view of the Android 10. If we were to go into the master view, and we can see that the master view does not have that style applied. So the child views do not inherit it by default. One last thing I'd like to point out is how to control the way that the different devices are rendered within the multi-device preview window. This second drop-down box will allow you to change that. So for example, I can change to mosaic. I can really zoom in here if I just wanted to focus on, perhaps just the Android and iPhone views. I can also change to flow, list view, and fit to size. Really depends on what your screen is and how you want to set it up. Let's say that for whatever reason this is the perfect view for me. It's a good thing to remember. Well, maybe not so perfect, but you can save your layout and load layout. So if I save this layout as saying my custom view, and then destroy that. Maybe I get rid of this window, and now I want to restore maybe the default view. I can do that, and I want to get back to my custom view. Here I go. I got it right back where I left off. So it's very, very useful with regards to having a multiple monitor setup. You might have multiple different devices that are more important that you can pre-configure and recall and switch between really quickly and really easily using this drop-down menu here. And with that, I think we shall wrap. We just opened up some new RAD offers. If you'd like the full details, please go to embarcadero.com/RAD offer. But the high-level view here is that we've got a BOGO offer of buy one, get one free, introductory special of RAD Studio, Delphi, and C++ Builder XE8 of 10% off. And we have some specials for update subscription, which will allow you to upgrade from any previous version of XE. Now there are some restrictions that apply, so again, please visit embarcadero.com/RAD offer. And lastly, we also have reintroduced the MITA converter basic for one of the new bonus pack items, and that will allow you to take your VCL code bases and port them over to FireMonkey. Pretty useful tool. Next week we will be covering how to add interactive maps to your mobile applications. That's next Tuesday, the 9th of June, 2015. If you would like to get more information or register for that skill sprint, you can always visit embt.co/sprints15. Note that S is capital and is case sensitive. This week's skill sprint has a lot of additional learning resources to assist you in learning how to use FireUI. If you'd like to get more information, please visit the blog at embt.co/real-time-UI. Thank you for joining us this week. Again, my name is Brian Alexakis, and I will now turn it over to Q&A. I'm joined in the studio today with David I. And I had a quick comment. I know I had mentioned that I was going to show the Windows 10 style for the VCL apps at the end, but we were a little pressed for time, so I decided to cut that out and forgot to edit that bit out. However, the more information on Windows 10 can be found, including the VCL style and instructions on how to use it, at embarcadero.com/windows-10. You can also find the links at the blog notes, embt.co/real-time-ui. Okay, let's see. Pat asked a question about the custom views and the Moto 360 watch regarding the fact that that device has a circular screen and not a rectangular screen. And so he was concerned that, if you were to place assets on the areas that are outside of that circle, then it would render. He just didn't get into those details in today's skill sprint, but Jim McKeith actually has done a lot of work, including a blog post about the custom view with regards to the Moto 360, and I link against that at the blog. So feel free to go to the blog. I added a whole bunch of more links as well, so there's a lot of more information to dive into there. And Frank asked a question that he says that the multi-device view is nice, but in a lot of his live apps, many controls are rendered in code. Is there a way to hook that into the view render and the views in code? I'm not sure about that, David. Do you have any insight on that?
Well, the multi-device preview is done at design time. So if you're doing anything, creating forms, creating loading style books or whatever in code at runtime, we don't have a runtime multi-device preview library. So what you see is what you get at design time. Yeah.
So I guess that would be a no.
Yeah, that's a no, unless, feature request, I guess, to say, hey, can we have the preview window logic and be able to embed it in our own apps, for example. Looks like from William.
Right. Let's see here. Let me read it really quick.
He's asking. It looks like he's asking about the current window, save current window, or save desktop option. There's a save desktop option. So as you're configuring, I have one called Max Code that I use, and what Max Code is that I've minimized, unpinned all of the Object Inspector, Project Manager, component palette, and the structure window, so that I just have a big code editor, and that's the only window that's sitting there in my IDE. So you can save any number of saved desktop configurations. I forget, Brian, we were playing around yesterday on the undocked design time view for multi-monitor.
Right.
I think if I save the desktop that way, desktop layout, I think it saved the undocked and over on another monitor.
Yeah, I did some light testing on that yesterday as well, and it seemed to work just fine. And I thought it was a nice way to switch between getting that preview window out and open and quick and easy. And the one thing I was wondering is, and I think this requires some further testing, but it would be cool if you could switch between different design multi preview window, different views, so you could kind of go from one view to the next, jumping between different saved desktop states. But the nice part about it, of course, is that you can set it up so many different ways that it's nice to have a couple of preset different ways you might want to be viewing it. Yeah, and so we've got some comments to that effect. Frank's saying here that that there is no wrong way. I like to give a part of my code to the multi-device view to render real-time calculated components at design time. That was a follow-up comment to our earlier question. And then Andrew's following up here. That's how he works all the time. He bespoke save desktops for different tasks, all on multi-monitor.
Yep.
Great, thank you for that.
Yeah, you can save, well, there's no limit. They're just files that get saved in the configuration area on your hard drive. So for RAD Studio. So yeah, you can have as many as you want. I think the debug one, there's certain ones that are modal depending on what you're doing. So for example, if you're running in debug mode, then the IDE will switch to debug. But if you want a different save desktop, there's a way for debugging, you can do that as well. So you have all the options there for setting up desktops. And then on the multi-device preview, that is specifically to FireMonkey. I'm not sure if you mentioned that before, Brian, but
yes.
that's a FireMonkey specific functionality in the IDE.
So one thing I just noticed is that I left my Twitter handle off. So that was a bit of a mistake. But you can find me on Twitter at IoTBrian. We have a quick question here from Kenneth. Does the preview work with C++ Builder? Is there any preview feature that does not work with C++ Builder? As far as I understand, everything works just the same. Is that the case, David?
Yeah, the preview is a preview of your FireMonkey forms on the different devices you select. So it doesn't matter whether it's an Object Pascal or a C++ project. It works just the same as far as the preview and, of course, the executable deployment. Same platforms for both languages.
Of course, this does only work, I should say the multi-device preview window only works with FireMonkey HD forms and does not work with VCL. There is a lot of information about Windows 10 available today, including that VCL style. You can find links to that at the blog notes at embt.co/real-time-ui. And that we're actually pretty close to releasing a FireMonkey Windows 10 style as well.
You talked to Serena DuPont today.
Indeed, yes, that is
blog
post in the corner.
The links Brian has. Serena did a blog post about the VCL custom style. So it's a .v as in Victor, S as in Sam, F as in Frank. Boy, .vsf, if you can figure that out. That's a VCL style file, and so the FireMonkey one will be a .style or a .style file. So we're pretty close, and just stay tuned. I guess Serena will blog about it when that style is ready. It'll show up also in your registered user download area.
Yeah, and if you want to catch me on Twitter, I tend to tweet those kinds of releases as well. Okay, we have another question here. Any chance to add a style to the list of project options appearance for a VCL application?
Well, you can create your own styles. There's the Bitmap Style Designer, which is shared between VCL and FireMonkey. It just depends on how you save the file. And you can add styles. You just put the new styles. I think, Brian, you did a skill sprint about styles back in the Q4 timeframe where you put the style file in the style subdirectory.
Yeah, for that skill sprint, what I did actually is I cloned an existing style, which really is a nice way to do it because it kind of takes all of the manual setup off of your plate, and then you can just kind of go in there and tweak existing styles to your liking. Or if you want to, completely create a whole new one from scratch, you can do that as well. So, okay, we have another follow-up comment here. He said he's gonna go check, but that he put the Windows 10 style in the styles subfolder, but did not appear. Well, Roma, did you see Serena's blog post about how to apply the Windows 10 style? That might be a good resource to check. I link against that in the blog. So I would advise you to go there. And if you're still having issues, feel free to email me, and maybe we can sort you out. Get you.
It was the week one modernizing your VCL apps. So I got to go find it on YouTube now.
Yeah, that was one of the first videos I ever produced, I think, actually.
Modernizing your VCL apps, look and feel with styles. That was November 4th, 2014.
Let's see here. Miguel has a question. How do you make the package wizard show the view? I'm not sure of the package. I'm not quite sure what the package wizard is.
Well, you went in and you created a package. You created a new package, and then you did the pasting. And
you're right.
You did two things. You installed the package, then you went to the list of views. And so watch the replay, Miguel, because Brian goes through that. Jim McKeith also covered that in Code Rage 9 and his blog post. So if you just search, and there's a DocWiki link in Brian's blog about creating a custom view. So Jim did the Moto 360 a while back, and even before then he did the Google Glass custom view. So creating custom views in the package wizard, there was that combination steps: creating the package, compiling and installing it, then going over and telling the IDE in the XML file that you have a new style, so it'll show up.
Yeah, so one thing that's worth mentioning is the source code that I pasted in, I copied from the doc wiki. I linked to that doc wiki in the blog notes, and there are also a C++ code for as well. So it's not just an Object Pascal thing. You can do it just the same within C++. If you follow through the DocWiki blog link, that's basically what I use to produce this skill sprint. So hopefully you can reproduce those steps. And if you have any specific questions, you can always send me an email, which again is brian.alexakis@embarcadero.com. I